Baldur's Gate 3 exposes the hypocrisy of gaming culture. I hate gamers.
Hey guys, it's Asmongold here, and today we're going to talk about Baldur's Gate 3. And
All right.
no, we're going to talk about a specific portion, an aspect of Baldur's Gate 3 that has pretty much everybody talking all over X, not Twitter anymore. That people are pointing out some of the hypocrisy from Western studios and some of the mindset of some of these gamers who were pretty much against certain depictions and objectifications of, you know, female characters and other portions in some games, but it's pretty much okay in this game. So before we dive into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, notification bell for more gaming content.
Is this the same
here
people
on this
though?
channel. So this video is going to be a bit of a rant because I want to give you my thoughts and opinions on this, because we've been talking about this for the past 3 weeks, going on a month now, when it comes to the depiction of women and just the all-out censorship when it comes to content.
And you can see this guy has a fucking agenda with this censorship shit. Look at this fucking poster literally right behind him, bro. Like, you know, he's been thinking about this for years.
More specifically from the West.
Yeah.
So what about Baldur's Gate 3? Now, Baldur's Gate 3 has been a game that many people has been anticipating. I have owned Baldur's Gate 2 on Nintendo GameCube. Yeah, that was years ago.
Yeah.
Since we have seen, you know, a Baldur's Gate game, but this is a game that pretty much everybody's been excited for, you know. And now that the game is out, this game is pretty much breaking records. Now I will say that, like, Larian, the company that's been working on it, they worked their asses off, and they also have a lot of developers here, especially on the west side of things, that's really panicking right now because they have offered a fully complete product. No microtransactions or anything of the sort. This is the full experience. And gamers,
as I said, the mystical word, the forgotten language of years past. Feature complete. I feel like I hadn't heard that since 2005.
Are really appreciative of that, and that's really changed the dynamic of everything. You know, developers already felt threatened by Elden Ring. Elden Ring had also made Game of the Year and was a full complete package, full complete experience. So everybody's loving it.
I don't think devs felt threatened by Elden Ring. They were just upset the fact that because the UI for Elden Ring sucked, nobody cared. Yeah, because nobody's playing the game for a UI. Rethink your entire fucking career. You think people play video games for a UI? Jesus.
Everybody's enjoying this at the top of the charts, and it pretty much, I believe, it dethroned Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So that's not the issue here. They have a game that everybody enjoys playing. But there's an aspect that most people are really talking about on the cultural side of gaming, and that is the censorship for some aspects of certain games, and then when it comes to games like Baldur's Gate 3, is completely fine. And what we're talking about here is the whole sex and romance feature that's in Baldur's Gate 3. Now, you guys have seen my videos when I talked about how the West depicts women and everything like that. And that pretty much video have caused a lot of controversy on both ends.
Yeah,
most people agreed, and yet the other side who pretty much disagree with it. But you always had this common thing coming from journalists and the detractors saying that, hey, you know, if you want porn in your game, you can go watch porn somewhere else. Or if somebody just want to see and have an attractive character or attractive female character or a female character with some curves, all of a sudden you're labeled an incel. Or hey, if you want this,
no, I think that's true. I don't know why modern games have like this, like there's some Western modern games that have like a focus on like making characters like unattractive. Like, I don't know what kind of focus group, what kind of research testing told them that people actually want to play as like a worse version of themselves in real life. Like, who the fuck would want to do that? It's just like weird. Like, I don't, it's like whenever I see something like that, it just feels very weird and off-putting.
Most watch porn, but then you turn around and you look at Baldur's Gate 3, and the most controversial thing before the game has released was the scene where you was able to have sex with a bear. One of the characters have this ability to transform to pretty much anything they want. So the developers wanted to show off the many different options that you have.
Yep.
And here it is, you have the audience clapping and cheering.
Well, I feel like these people, like, they'd have been happy about some hot-ass girl showing up in a bikini probably too, you know? Like, the thing is that the people that complain about objectification of non-existent women in fantasy video games, these people don't go to gaming conventions because they don't like video games. These are people that are just like unhappy assholes that want to tell other people how to live their life. Like, they're not real. Like, and there's not that many of them either. It's just that a number of them have positions in like games news media, so they write articles that are extremely disagreeable, and everybody talks about how disagreeable the article is without realizing the irony of that this article is so disagreeable and so unlikable that everybody is talking about how bad it is. Because the truth is that I think that you're talking about two different groups of people. Because like, I don't think probably none of these people here would be crying or getting mad about that shit at all. It's some other weirdos. Anybody that gets mad about like the way that characters are depicted in a video game, you'd never see them at a public event. Especially not with other people. There's no way.
And just looking at the sheer ridiculousness of a character having sex with a full-on bear. Now, yes, funny. This person can transform into one, but the fact is, this is crossing the line of bestiality. But that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Journalists making complete videos about it,
talking about bear 16 reveal hits so hard.
Oh yeah, this is a joke. You know, this is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And you know, and pretty much commending this type of degeneracy. But
no, the thing is, like, if you read the articles, and like, I don't know if like any of them said the same thing I said, is that it's not that the bear sex scene had anything to do with like the actual quality of the game. Like, nobody gives a fuck about this. It's weird, but the reason why it was exciting is because it provided a frame of reference of like how big the window inside of what's possible in the game is. So like, usually most video games are like this big, right? But you had a bear sex scene and now it's this big, and it could be even bigger, you don't know. And that's why that scene was so important. It's not because of what the scene is, it's what the scene represents. It represents a development studio and a video game that's not tethered by modern sensibilities, by, you know, like modernized audiences. People, like, it's just straight up like Overton window. Well, that's political. That's a bit different, but you could say that. Like, it's the same general thing. The point is that, like, it expands the scope of, like, what's possible inside of a video game. Does it matter that it's a bear? Yeah, I mean, I think so. It probably does matter. And also because, like, the bear is getting on top, it's not like the person is taking advantage of an animal. And because it's a bear that's not actually a bear, it's different. Like, there's a lot of, like, nuances to this that make it to where it's not really bestiality. And, like, no, but, like, you want to get down into it. You want to talk about it honestly. Let's talk about it honestly. Like, it's not really a bear. The dude is not, like, forcing himself on an unconsenting animal. Like, these are two consenting individuals, right? And so that's really why it's more okay. It's not like he's actually fucking a bear in the scope of the game.
Then you turn around and you have someone like me and many others who point out that, hey, you know, what's going on with the female characters in Mortal Kombat, or what's going on with Western developers and how butt ugly they making women look in their games, and all of a sudden you're called an incel, you called a misogynist, you called a sexist.
People got really mad at me whenever I said this about the Fable character. They were fucking furious, man. I got shit on so hard. People were telling me that I was ugly and all this other shit. Like I don't own a mirror. Like, that's the first time I've heard this before. Like, what the fuck? You think this is a surprise? Like, I have mirrors in my house. I've taken my photo before. I know this. Like, But you don't see me putting myself on the fucking cover of a video game. Fuck no. Absolutely not.
All kinds of things for saying that, hey, we want to see attractive looking characters. We want to see attractive looking women on, you know, in our video games. You're pointing out just for wanting something that look attractive. But in this game, there's plenty of scenes that you will see. I mean, ridiculous.
Well, look at, you know, you want to see Chun-Li or Cammy or one of the other Street Fighter characters that are hot as fuck. Well, Street Fighter 6 is doing really goddamn well. Like, I think Street Fighter 6 has been, like, this is from, like, a super outsider perspective, but I feel like it's done more to, like, elevate the fighting game community than, I don't remember the last time. I do. I feel like it's done so much. It's been, like, the first massive, huge W in such a long time. Street Fighter 6's biggest fighting game, in my opinion. Evo was huge. Exactly. Yeah, it's fucking massive. And so, and also, like, look at the way that the characters are built in that game, right? Like, they're not pulling any punches with that. Like, there's all kinds of, like, super sexual stuff, even down to their moves and, like, the outfits and everything. So I feel like, if anything, like, you look at the success of something like Street Fighter 6 or Baldur's Gate 3, I think that there's a lot of people nowadays that are just fucking tired of being told by some freak on Twitter that they're wrong for liking hot girls, or they're wrong for liking hot guys in video games. Like, they don't want to hear that anymore. And I think that the success of these games is a direct refutation of that. Nobody wants to fucking see that. Never paused the game when Chun-Li was doing her spinning star kick. I never played fucking Street Fighter. I've seen the only content for Street Fighter I've ever seen is I've watched DSP play Street Fighter. And that is funny. And that's all I need to see. Problem is telling people that being a hot girl is wrong. But, like, the problem is not telling people that being a hot girl is wrong. The problem is that that opinion matters to somebody. Because I think you can say whatever you want. Like, the problem is that it matters. Like, anybody can say that, think that. Like, why should you care what this person thinks in the first place? Why does it matter? Like, so what? So they don't like this character in a video game. What does this have to do with anything? Who cares? Maybe they want to make the character look more like IRL people. How many girls you know that look like Cammy? Not enough. But the thing is that, I mean, I don't know. Like, I want to play like a game with, like, cool looking characters. Like, I don't want to play a game where you can be a McDonald's cashier or a janitor. What do you mean? Like, yeah, I don't want to do that. That's boring.
Scene. One person showed this one scene where two characters, male characters, like a blowjob type of scene, which of course is masked out. And I won't show it or whatever like that, but people were sharing all over the internet and was saying that, yo, like, wait a minute, this is permitted, but yet games, especially like Dead or Alive volleyball, which is just girls in bikinis playing volleyball, that game was pretty much banned, couldn't come to United States. And then you had articles writing about it that it had, you know, about the objectification of women, but yet you allowed to have full-on sex.
Well, because it's two different people. That's why. It's like, I don't think these are the same people saying the same things. I think this is two different groups of individuals. I think the people that think that the sex scenes and the cool, like, the weird, crazy shit you can do in Baldur's Gate 3 probably think Dead or Alive beach volleyball is cool too. Because they're just normal, like, normal people. That, like, and if they don't like it, right? If they don't like it, the game, they just don't play it, right? It's not that big of a deal. Sex doesn't automatically equal objectification. Well, it's not. I mean, they aren't even objects. It's code. Like, it's a fucking video game. Who cares? Like, people get so wrapped up in, like, what happens inside of a fucking who gives a fuck? It's a game. I feel the same thing about movies. People care so much, like, they get in their feelings about what happens in a fucking movie. It's not even real. It's just so weird.
Game. Now the thing is, Jesus. I don't have a problem with sex in video games. If people want that, and it's all about giving the fans what they want. It's all about giving the fans what they enjoy and what they want to see. That's not the problem. The problem is the double standard here. And the people who want to see attraction in their characters and stuff, they're pretty much being villainized for that. But
I mean, Street Fighter 6 is the most popular fucking game. Like, it's the most popular fighting fucking game. Like, I feel like maybe Smash might be bigger overall, but Smash isn't like a classic fighting game. Like, what are we talking about? Like, Street Fighter 6 is fucking massive. Mortal Kombat? I feel like Street Fighter 6 is bigger than the new Mortal Kombat. I feel like it's bigger.
But then it's okay to have these weird fetishes, having sex with bears, creatures, and all kinds of other degeneracy in this type of game, and it's completely fine. And I will also say this too. It just seemed like if it comes to Eastern studios, things have to be censored, but when it comes to Western style, Western studio games, then this stuff is, permitted.
I think it's the opposite, honestly. I do. And like, you got to keep in mind that like, you have like American, like, I read actually a really good post about Baldur's Gate 3 and why they liked how Baldur's Gate 3 had such a European view on sexuality, where it didn't take it and make it this like weird, like big thing. It just kind of incorporated it into part of life, and it had a healthy outlook on it that wasn't like super gratuitous or cringe or awkward or anything like that. Because like, I think that the way that Americans look at sexuality and the way that Europeans look at sexuality are two completely different fucking things. So like, even inside of the West, like what a studio like Larian does is going to be totally different than what a studio like, I don't know, Blizzard does. Yeah, the US is way more puritanical. It's way more like ideological, etc. And I feel like also like, look at Lost Ark. Lost Ark, like, yeah, they censored like one outfit in Lost Ark, but other than that, name one character in Lost Ark that doesn't wear high heels. Female character. I'm pretty sure there isn't one. Because I paid attention. I was like, is it really every single character? Yeah, it is.
Remember, back during PS4 and I think the PS5 version too, if I can remember, Devil May Cry 5 had scenes where it pretty much blotted out Trish's body,
Yeah,
but then all of a sudden, when you had The Last of Us 2, Abby was getting just complete back shots. That dude-looking chick was allowed to have back shot scenes in that game, but yet they had to censor Trish's, naked body in a video game. Like where's the consistency when it comes to that? It just doesn't make sense. And then let's talk about what Square Enix had to do to
I don't
FIFA and Final Fantasy VII remake. They literally said they had to really change her up.
By their ethics department, had to change her up. Confirmed censorship from Square Enix's ethics department. I mean, I think all this stuff is super fucking cringe, by the way. And I think that changing video games to appeal to people who don't like video games is a bad idea. I think it was a bad idea whenever World of Warcraft did this in Wrath. Like, Wrath of the Lich King changed a lot of WoW, and it made the game in a way to where it didn't only appeal to like WoW players, it tried to appeal to like all different kinds of players. And I think that's why a game like, for example, Elden Ring and like Remnant 2 and a few probably other games that I could really just think of, like Legend of Zelda, maybe a handful of other ones, like the reason why they're still successful is because they appeal to a target audience. You can't just make like people that cry about censorship and they cry about sexuality and like, like games not being in line with their worldview. You've got to keep in mind that these people will never be happy. Because if they're ever happy, then they don't have any power. And the only power they have is by complaining about things. So they're never going to give up their power by saying that they're happy. Why the fuck would they do that? So the only way you win is to not play the game. You just not play like Final Fantasy VII or whatever. I'm saying like, don't play the game with these people. Like if they say something, ignore them. If they try to talk to you, don't listen. It doesn't matter. And that's the thing, is that like a lot of people don't understand this, but it doesn't matter if people don't like what you're doing or people are mad about it, because there's a lot of other people out in the world that do. And you don't have to constantly appeal and make every single group of people happy. Like, look at Baldur's Gate 3. Imagine how many people, whenever they heard that Baldur's Gate 3 was going to be turn-based, thought, oh my god, this sucks. This isn't like all the other modernized games. But they said, fuck you, we're going to make the game the way we want to make the game, and the way that we think the game is best, and that's it. And I can respect that. But the truth is that you can never make people that are angry and that complain about shit all the time happy. Because again, if they're ever happy, then they don't have any power. And nobody ever gives up power. No, I think this shit, changing Tifa, like, who gives a fuck? Like, bro, who cares? Like, what? Where are these problems? Like, who actually cares about this shit? What freak cares about this? It's a bunch of weirdos. Bunch of weirdos with problems in their head. I don't give a fuck what they think. Who cares?
Because of the ethics department. And you had to worry about how she's going to be presented, you know, especially when bringing the game here in the West. So now they had to change things up, give her leggings. They had to give her a sports bra. They had to do all these other things so she won't appear overly sexualized. But yet you're allowed to have these things in these Western developed games. That just blows my mind. It just boggles my mind how this is, you know, this is acceptable. And then, of course, we can talk about Ashley and Resident Evil 4 remake. There's a lot of fans who felt some type of way about them changing certain lines, removing certain aspects, you know, that refers to Ashley and everything like that. But then you look at games like Baldur's Gate, that's completely fine. And I also wanted to go on this website because it's just funny because how ridiculous it is as far as how far the hypocrisy go when it comes to this. Now, there was an article here on Rock Paper Shotgun where it talked about
yeah, I mean, like, Ash is beautiful, kind of cooking. Yeah, I mean, I think that's an issue too, like, for sure. That shit is always, to me, it is so fucking cringe whenever they try to change, like, lines in a game because, like, what is this line? This line is going to offend people? Who is it going to offend? How many people? Like 7? Like, because to me, I find it offensive that we can't just have exactly what it was because somebody's gonna get their fucking feelings hurt. Like, to me, I find it very ironic that we can have video games that are all about guns and alcohol, which contribute to more deaths and more despair and awful things in the world than anything else. Nobody ever fucking talks about that. But the moment that somebody says the wrong word or something seems a little bit sexist, everybody loses their fucking mind. It's art. It's a video game. The fucking art police, man. It's crazy.
Baldur's Gate 3 is a relentlessly horny game. Mm-hmm. So pretty much Alice Bell, she goes through her experience and she's talking about the many different sexual, you know, romance options that you have in the game and stuff like that. And then you go check, and that's not the thing I really wanted to highlight, but this is the part that really gets me. After she talk about her experience with the sex options and the many different things, she explains about what you can do with the characters in the game. Then she goes on to say that this isn't bad though. The amount of horniness is what creates an amount of choice, especially getting that campfire quickie, expected feature of RPGs. And that being the case, why limit yourself? It's a fantasy world. A statistically significant amount of Baldur's Gate 3 sex happens when one or both participants are floating in midair.
That's cute.
Do the bear sex. Do the weird tantric wizard thing. The other day, I got into an argument with a terrible detective who was also a tiny golden flying elephant. Why would the sex be the one thing in the world that's normal? Now, this is the thing that gets me.
I think people just need to get out of their fucking feelings about trying to make video games reinforce their worldview of reality. Like, it's just so fucking exhausting for me to read this shit and listen to it. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, this is a fake video game. Like, I'm just so tired of people with a chip on their shoulder trying to get everybody else to carry their cross. Fucking stop. Just learn to relax and let art be art. If you don't like it, stop watching it. God damn.
The person right here, Alice, says that why limit yourself is a fantasy world. But video games, I've been saying this in all my videos. Video games is a fantasy.
Yeah.
They're not going like what's the point of going for realism? You're doing everything that isn't real in a video game, but then when it comes to depictions of certain characters or genders and stuff like that, then that's when we really need to pump the brakes on this. We really got to be realistic with this. That, you know, quote unquote, most people would say and what Western developers would say. But all of a sudden, this game is completely fine because it's just a fantasy. You know, the sky's the limit. You know, just remove all the shackles. Just have fun. Go all out when it comes to the pure, you know, degeneracy that you're allowed to engage in this game.
Give me a moment, for pity's sake. You've exhausted me already.
Now, like I said before, if that's what people are into, I don't have a problem with that when this is something that's catering to that base. But all I'm saying is keep that same energy when you have fans who want to see attractive women or they want to see certain depictions of characters in the games that they enjoy, especially more specifically Japanese games, developed games, or Eastern developed games. Because it seemed like that one side is okay.
I think that, like, it's definitely, there's some truth to this. Like, I think that the biggest exception to this is, like, I'm not a fan of the lolly shit in games. That's where I draw the, I think that's weird. I don't want to see it in the games. Like, I don't care about, like, what their culture is. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to see it. But, I mean, like, I'm not going to lose my mind if they make games like that, right? I mean, I can't control what other people do. And also, like, if there's a game that's like that, you know what I do? I don't play it. If I feel like that part of the game makes me uncomfortable, I just don't play it. I say, no, I don't want to play this. This is weird. And so that's it. And like, somebody else can play it, that's fine. Because that's not like, I'm not God. Right? Like, I'm giving my opinion, right? It's whatever. But like, that's just what I think. But the difference is that, like, I feel like most people probably agree with him. I would say, if you want me to be honest, 90% of people agree with him. 90% of people don't want some weirdo, again, that's got a chip on their shoulder, trying to make decisions for where a game goes. Nobody gives a fuck about this stuff. Nobody cares. People just want to have a good time. Yeah, I don't think that's his argument. What he's saying, right, is that, like, people hold Eastern developers, like Japanese developers, to a different standard than the Western developers. So obviously some of the differences here, you want to talk about, like, the Abby thing in Last of Us. Well, she's not made out to look like a porn star. So whenever she has sex in the game, it's not just for the male gratification of the audience. It's also because of the, it's just part of the nature of the game. So I think that's one of the big differences of why it's okay in the Western games, is because the characters in the Western games are not created as basically porn stars. Which, by the way, I think is a problem. They need to make more of the porn stars. Let's get more of them. I like that way more. But that is, if I were to assume what is the difference in the mind of the people that complain about one and not the other, it's that it's not a, quote, realistic depiction of women. Everybody knows that attractive women aren't real, okay? So whenever they see one in a video game, this is upsetting.
For permitting stuff like this, because even in the game itself, when you create your character, there's also full-on nudity and everything like that, and you're able to adjust the sliders. But it's kind of funny that, from what I heard, that there's really no boob sliders for the females, but there's a a junk slider for the males that you allow to adjust.
Is that true? You can make their dick bigger, but not their tits? Is that true? It's a selection, that's it? There's no slide? Okay, so it's not even real. Okay.
Yeah, I find that kind of funny. But you're capable and you're allowed to have that. I don't have an issue with that. If that's what they want to do, then that's fine. I just don't like the hypocrisy or how one-sided it is, because where is that same energy from these people? Because these journalists,
it's definitely one-sided as fuck. Like, look at all the women that say things that, like, if a guy, there are women that say things about Henry Cavill that if a guy had said that about an actress, he would be in a bad time. That's just the truth. Nah, there is a double standard. There definitely is, and that's just the way the culture is.
These are the same people, these journalists and all these detractors that you will find on Twitter that will attack you. They're nowhere to be seen when it comes to this game. In fact, they're posting the sex scenes. You can see it on Twitter. They're posting the sex scenes of all the craziness that you can encounter in this game, and yet that's fine. These are the same people that's telling you that.
Yeah, but are they the same people that are complaining about Eastern games being overly sexual, though? Like, because that's the main thing. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Because, like, is it the same person or is it a different person?
Calling you horny, they're saying to you that you're an incel and go play porn or go watch porn, but yet they're pretty much posting up the depiction of what porn is, because there is pretty much porn in this game essentially. But it's okay for them to do that, and that's why I talk about, and I always say this: just continue to call this nonsense out, continue to stand your ground, and say, hey, this is what I want, and just ignore those people, because at this point they really have no foot, they have no stool, they have no high ground to stand on at this point.
They never did, because their opinions don't mean a fucking thing. Like, there are a lot of people, for example, that fucking hate me. Like, for example, you go on LSF, everybody fucking hates me on that subreddit. You go on some of these other gaming subreddits, everybody fucking hates me. There is like a 200 or 300 page at this point thread about why people hate me on the Baldur's Gate Steam page. I looked it up, I saw it. I read like 2 pages, I got bored. But does that matter to me? What is that, like, what is that gonna do? Oh my god, somebody doesn't like what I'm saying? Well, I guess I should just quit then. Oh, it's just quit. Alright, great. Well, yeah, people don't like it. Well, who gives a fuck? Who cares? It doesn't, they're NPCs. What are you doing? What are you doing spending all your time worried about what this other person thinks? I have a very simple system in my life, okay? If it wouldn't affect me if a person got hit by a car, it's also not going to affect me what they think. It sounds harsh, but that's the way I think.
I don't want to hear nothing from these crowds of people. After all this, after shaming other people for having preferences and wanting to see or wanting to have certain things in their games, but then turn around, it's completely okay. And this goes overboard compared to some of the soft things or some of the mild things people want. For some reason, just wanting a curvy woman or wanting a woman to just look attractive looking and appealing to you, they label that as you wanting porn. That's
that is what you want. Yeah. Yes, please.
Crazy. So a woman being curvy or having a bust, that's automatically porn? Mm-hmm. So, like, think about what people are saying when it comes to
the game, but on the internet.
The aesthetics of a woman. That any signs of bust, any signs of curve, that automatically deemed as porn.
Well, exactly, bro. Like, you see fat chicks all the time talk about skinny bitches, but you don't see a bunch of skinny girls get around and talk about fat bitches. People get pissed off about that. It's just upwards discrimination. That's just the way it is. Upwards discrimination in our culture is acceptable for everything. It's okay to make fun of tall people, but if you make fun of short people, you're an asshole. It's okay to eat the rich, but you can't eat the poor. It's okay to shit on, let's say a guy of a woman. It's okay to say men are trash, but it's not okay to say women are trash. That's just the way it is, man. And it doesn't make it right. That's just how it is.
But yet you see degeneracy like this in Baldur's Gate 3. That's completely fine. It's just a joke. Because you see it on Twitter and X, or you see it from journalists. Oh, you don't understand. This is a joke behind this. No. Either one thing is, if this is okay, then everything should be okay.
He's right.
So
yeah, if you can have sex with a bear, you should be able to have a hot girl on the screen. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally. I totally agree. I think 90% of people agree with that. There's a small contingent of freaks out there, and they don't even play the games.
That pretty much just wraps this up. I just wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions on this, because I really find this just downright ridiculous with Baldur's Gate 3. The sheer hypocrisy. It seems like Western studios are allowed to have things like this, and Eastern studios is not even showing sex at all. It's just the woman's body, the figure, the curves.
It's the context of it, right? It's the context. Like, I understand where they're coming from. Like I can understand what their argument is. I just disagree with the argument. So like the idea is that the reason why people don't like it is that it treats women like they're not people and like they're just objects. Whereas like in Baldur's Gate, this is consensual sex between two characters that have a backstory. But like these characters are being presented purely just for their looks. And that's it. It's just total fan service. There's no actual value of the character. And oftentimes the sexual elements downplay the character's seriousness. That's what they think. Now, I don't agree with any of this. I think it's fucking great if you've got girls in bikinis. I think they're hot, and that's all that I care about. Doesn't matter to me. What is this doing to the culture? I don't care. Like, what? I don't care. I just want to see. I want to see a good game. Like, that's it. Yeah, why would I care about what they think? Well, if you don't like this, don't play the fucking game. Like, I'm not gonna like. Why do I have to listen to you? But like, that is what their opinion is. Like, hopefully, I expressed what they think in kind of a fair way. I hope that I did.
Or the bust, or whatever like that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that's the problem. But this is full on. Pretty much, you can call it porn. And that's where the hypocrisy come from. Like I said, if that's what you into, that's what you into. But gotta keep that same energy when it comes to these type of conversations.
Well, it's also because it's guys, right? Like, you look at this dude, right? Where's this? This dude right here. Where's it? Both of these dudes are massively fucking in shape. Like, let's be honest. This guy doesn't go to Planet Fitness. This guy goes to Gold's Gym. All right? Assyrian maybe goes to Planet Fitness. I don't know. But they are both, like, good-looking guys, in shape, both have a six-pack, etc. Like, this is not the average male body. Okay? Assyrian, I don't know how to fucking say his name. Asterion? I don't know. But, like, what I'm saying is that there's a double standard with men and women, right? Where, like, if there's a thin woman with larger than average breasts, somehow this is an unrealistic standard that nobody should be expected. It's just disgusting, right? But at the same time, you can have a guy here that looks like he could be on the stage of a bodybuilding competition. Maybe not quite, but he's at least on his way to that. And somehow that's totally fucking fine. Yeah, no, I get it. Like, I totally get it. But I think it's a male and female thing, too.
Porn.
Reverse the role.
And
yeah,
that's where the hypocrisy come from. Like I said, if that's what you into, that's what you into. But gotta keep that same energy when it comes to these type of conversations and everything. Because I just don't think that's right. And you shouldn't, be on this high ground and then shame others for wanting to have their preference. But then it's totally okay. You engage in the same. You're engaging in just pure degeneracy.
Yeah.
But fine, go ahead. That's what you into. That's what you into. But that wraps this video up. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe button, because it definitely helps you out in the algorithm. And by the way, check out this shirt. This shirt right here is made by my brothers Keo Lancer and DX Strike. They have their own t-shirt company called Strike and Keo Tees. Official Business LLC. You can check out their website where you can find plenty of cool shirts. They also customize shirts, so if you're a content creator and want to have your own brand on a shirt, you can go check them out, talk with them. They can make you a shirt as well. And also, if you a non-profit organization or any kind of business as well, they give you some custom deals. So definitely go check them out. I'll leave the link in the description below. Remember, Strike and Keo Tees. And this is Mugen Lord signing off. See you Game Fiends later.
Yeah.
Peace out.
I mean, like, I agree with like what his point is. I don't think that it's necessarily like a Western and Eastern thing. I don't really think so, like just in general. Because like there's a lot of Eastern games that release that like I'll link you all the video. There's a video. This is a good one. I think that like anybody that talks about this shit is good. Very incel. That you think the guy's an incel? Why is he an incel? What makes him an what makes him an incel? Yeah, like I don't think that there's anything about what he said that was being an incel. I hate the whole keep the same energy. Things should be judged on a case-by-case basis. I kind of agree with that in a way, the keep the same energy, because it's like whenever you judge one thing in one standard and another thing in another standard, what that indicates is that you actually don't have a principled stance on it. It's circumstantial. Which everything in life is circumstantial. But in general, there's a lot of people that like, they don't really give a fuck if it's happening whenever it's something that they like. So they don't actually care about this. And like, I don't think this is the biggest deal. Most people are like this. There's no reason to get upset or angry about it. But like, it's just worthy to take in mind. One of the main arguments is a lot of Eastern stuff tends to use younger characters or characters designed to look younger. I mean, like, none of the Dead or Alive beach volleyball characters were designed to look younger. Like, they're all obviously of age. Like, come on. What is this? Like, we're not, like, and I agree, again, like, you want to talk about some weird, like, lolly shit. Yeah, I agree with you. But that's not really what I'm getting at. There's at least one. I haven't seen every single one. But I'm saying, like, in general, I don't think that's very common. Mary Rose, yeah, maybe they have one. People trying to push their realism agenda on games that aren't built upon that, it's annoying as fuck. I think that the problem, what's annoying, is that people think that their opinion matters on somebody else's video game. Like, if you don't like what a certain game is, or what's happening in a game, then just don't play it. Like, there are games that have lolly stuff in them, I just don't play the game. Like, I'm not on a crusade to get them banned. I just don't consume that kind of content because I'm not a fan of it. That's it. So, like, instead of trying to get the world to change, why don't you just change what you look at in the world? Just stop focusing on shit that just makes you mad. I'll link you all the video again. Why can't they simply censor one character if that's the issue, not the whole game? It's because people that, again, it's people that have a chip on their shoulder and they want the rest of the world to carry their cross. That's all it is. And it is so exhausting. It is exhausting for this shit. Armored Core 6? Yeah, we're going to look at one other thing, then we're going to look at we're going to start playing Armored Core. That's where I'm thinking. People want to be moralists? Nah, people want other people to be moralists for them. Yeah, it's a little bit different. But it's still the same general thing, you know? Final Fantasy 16 got a lot of negative reception for being too horny with characters like Benedicta. I never even read that. I don't think that's even true. Benedicta was a thought, but she wasn't like, I mean, she wasn't even in the game. Like, that's the thing, is like, anybody that actually played all the way through Final Fantasy 16, Benedicta is there for like 1/3 or 1/5 of the game. She's not even in the majority of the game. Yeah, so it's like anybody that has that opinion, it's basically like a, like you say that, and it's like, okay, that means that you didn't actually, like, you don't actually know what you're talking about. You didn't actually play the game, right? You out yourself, yeah. Like, because she's not even an important character, really. She's a character, like, you deal with for, like, the first 2 hours, 3 hours of the game, and then She's done. That's not why people got mad about Benedicta. They got mad because her character was chasing dudes and her story was basically like, oh, she almost got abused and boom, that's it. Yeah, I think that, again, it's like these are, you know, there's like certain girls that are like on social media and stuff that like get really angry whenever there's like women that are shown in like a submissive or negative perception. Like they have something to prove. And I think that's a very unhealthy outlook on life. Not based off of the outlook itself. It's a sad outlook on life because you're trying to change the way the world looks at things. Like anytime that you try to change the world, you're gonna be unhappy. Like especially in terms of how people feel. Great outlook for life. It is a great outlook. I would much rather be a person that focused on myself than focused on trying to change people's opinions on the fucking internet. It's the biggest waste of time of your life.